Welcome to another story made by Oracle One. Jennifer Lewis had never been one to believe in the supernatural or anything remotely eerie. At 22, she was practical, realistic, and somewhat skeptical about the tales that haunted the small college town of Overbrook. But tonight, as an ominous chill leaked into her thin apartment, she wished she had her naive doubts left unchallenged. It began with a simple slip of paper, slid silently beneath her bedroom door sometime in the deep hours after midnight. Jennifer awoke, startled by the unusual sensation, her fingers brushing the cold note on the floor. She fumbled in the dark, tugged it beneath the door to her side, and unfolded the yellowed paper. In hastily scrawled letters, a small warning seemed etched with a shaky hand. "Whatever you do, don't turn around." Her first reaction was to laugh it off as some prank by the overzealous freshman down the hall. After all, Overbrook was infamous for its relentless practical jokes. Still, that message weighed heavily on her, bruising her gut with an unshakable dread. Jennifer's apartment was impeccable, a tight sanctuary she had lived in for a year with no incidents, no unusual neighbors, and absolutely no reason for any strange notes. But when she looked up, the space behind her appeared just a little different. Shadows stretched farther, darker than before, flickering where no light should have bent. Even the creaking of the floorboards didn't sound quite normal. Something was wrong. Not daring to turn around, Jennifer's heart hammered against her ribs as she balanced between the terror of the unknown and the rebellious courage telling her to snap out of it. She forced herself to stay seated on the wooden floor, using the cold wall behind her as an anchor to reality. The thin circle of light cast from the hallway seemed cozy compared to the encroaching darkness behind. "Just a prank," she whispered, voice breaking in the stillness. But the silence around her felt accusing. Minutes passed like hours. Jennifer willed herself to stand, to move, anything but remain trapped in fear. Her hand trembling, she reached for her phone on the small cluttered desk. The screen flashed with a soft glow as she powered it on. No calls, no messages. She thought to call her best friend, Amy, but her fingers hesitated. There was something about that note, that unnerving command, like a threat veiled in kindness. A hint that if she disobeyed, the consequences would become horrifyingly real. A sudden sound made her freeze, the scrape of a finger against the paint on the wall behind her. She forced her gaze forward, refusing to pivot or glance sideways. Her breath hitched as the faintest scent of something rotten brushed past her nose. Something old, decayed, and malevolent. Her mind faltered between logic and pure instinct. Someone, or something, was there. Watching, waiting. Jennifer's eyes darted to the door, the one she'd been thinking of opening all along in hopes of escape. But the cold note lay pinned just beyond the threshold, as if it had been placed there to mark a boundary. The room felt infinitely bigger as invisible eyes lined her every move, yet her limbs refused to respond. Her limbs refused to move because, she realized, whatever was lurking was tethering itself to her very fear and inaction. The night deepened, the oppressive silence shattered by a low, rasping whisper that she could not understand but felt like a threat. The voice was relentless, winding through the corners and edges of the dim room. Jennifer pressed her palms against her ears, trying to drown it out, but the malevolence was physical, pressing down on her chest like an impossible weight. Suddenly, a new slip of paper slid beneath the door. Heart so loud she thought it would burst, Jennifer stretched to retrieve it. This one read, "Please. Stay calm. You must trust me. Don't turn around." The handwriting was different, more controlled, almost tender. Was someone else trapped here too? Was there something else battling the darkness for her sanity? Her breath was uneven, panic rising and falling like icy waves. Jennifer sat frozen, clutching the second note with shaking hands. If what lingered behind her was so dreadful, who was this other voice? Was it friend or foe? Another presence, perhaps human, trying to help in this suffocating nightmare? She had to find out. She had to move, but how could she possibly dare? Time twisted and folded. The air grew thick and cold until the faint hum of a radio broke through, crackling on the small wooden dresser across the room. The soft tune was distorted, but a voice emerged, calm, reassuring, and simultaneously worried. "Jennifer, listen to me," it said, urgency threading through the words. "Whatever you do, please do not look behind you. You are not alone in this room. I don't know who is trapping you, but it's not me. You must stay with me. Keep talking, keep breathing. Whatever tries to claim you, don't let it." It was a voice Jennifer recognized immediately, her father's. He had passed 2 years earlier, suddenly and unexpectedly. She felt overwhelmed, an icy shiver clawing its way from her spine to her scalp. Was she hallucinating? Was her grief bleeding into her senses? Or was something truly paranormal barreling into the corners of her reality, bending logic and fear into hopeless confusion? Her hands shook as she responded softly, "Dad? Is that you?" The radio hissed in reply, "I'm here. Mommy says be brave, baby. Listen to me. There's a shadow in your room, a dark thing that hides and waits when you look away. Don't. Stay strong. You can beat it." The shadow shifted behind her, like smoke curling into the edges of her vision. Jennifer felt the breath of it on her neck as the racing, rasping whisper burrowed deep into her mind. She bit back a scream, eyes fixed frontward, defying the primal terror clawing inside. She dug into her memory for what little strength she had left, the courage her father always told her she carried in her heart. Emerging from the darkness beneath the door, a third note slid then crumpled on the floor. Jennifer, legs weak and eyes wide with exhaustion, gathered the trembling paper. "Look who you trust, or you will lose everything." It was a cold slur, sharp and cruel, the writing jagged like claws. Was it from the shadow? From whatever sinister force was puppeteering the night? The room plunged darker still, lights flickering wildly, their buzz stabbing nerves raw. Jennifer realized with horror that in the overpowering darkness, that shadow was growing, writhing like a living nightmare feeding on her fear. Her heart shattered when the rasping whispers became guttural, choked threats promising she would never be alone again. The voice on the radio disappeared abruptly, replaced by a silence so heavy it crushed her chest. Just as she summoned will to crawl across the floor toward the door, the crackling returned, greater than before. Her father's voice, distorted and urgent, "Jennifer. The thing can't possess you if you stand in your own truth. Don't turn around. Look deep inside yourself. You're stronger than the darkness." A strange calm washed over Jennifer. She closed her eyes and felt for the spark of herself beneath the madness. Not the fear, not the invading shadow, but her own defiant heartbeat. She whispered back, her voice cracked but resolute, "I'm not afraid. I am not yours." As she spoke, the air shifted violently, as if the walls themselves inhaled and recoiled. The oppressive panic that had seized the room loosened its grip. Suddenly, a terrifying, guttural howl pierced the stillness. The shadow lunged forward but met nothing but faint light emanating from Jennifer's unwavering stance. The entity writhed, screaming wordless curses, its form flickering like a broken film reel desperate to cling to existence. The radio's soft glow pulsed in sync with her pulse until the darkness finally receded, swallowing itself back beneath the threshold of reason. Jennifer collapsed near the door, tears mixing with sweat and relief. The room brightened gently as dawn crept over the horizon. She dared to turn around now, slowly, cautiously, heart thundering in her ears. But the space behind her was empty. Just the subtle marks of shadows fading in morning light. the faintest trace of something unexplained lingering in the corners. Her notes were gone. The door sat open, welcoming daylight and sanity. Weeks later, Jennifer learned from Amy that the building had a dark history. Decades ago, a solitary woman who lived alone within these walls had vanished mysteriously. Locals whispered rumors of a curse, of shadows trapped between worlds preying on the living. But Jennifer knew what she had faced was beyond legend, a stalking darkness fueled by invisibility, manipulation, and terror, calmed only by her grim courage and her father's remembered strength. The note that warned her not to turn was not just a demand but a lifeline, a fragile tether between nightmare and survival. Whenever the nights stretched long and silence crept heavy, she still felt a whisper of that shadow lurking, watching from an unseen corner. But she never turned around again. For more stories, like and subscribe.